American football, a game of thunderous collisions, thunderous crowds, and those game-winning Hail Mary passes. But did you know there was a time when passes were banned and every play was just a muddy battle on the ground? Today, we're rolling back the clock to September 5th, 1906, a day that revolutionized football forever, thanks to the boldness of Bradbury Robinson and the very first legalized pass. Let's set the scene. In the early 1900s, football was notorious for its violence. The game was essentially a brutal, grinding scrum. It was more like rugby, with flying wedges, mass formations, and very little strategy beyond run it through the line and hope. Injuries and even deaths, believe it or not, were shockingly common. In 1905 alone, at least 18 players died on the field, with over 150 of them being severely injured. Public opinion turned harsh, and there was talk of banning the sport outright. President Theodore Roosevelt was a football fan, but he was also a worried parent. In 1905, he called college leaders to the White House and demanded radical changes to clean up the game. One of those changes? Legalizing the forward pass, an idea that had been floated around but had never been seriously considered. Once it was legalized, changes didn't happen overnight. Coaches clung to tradition. Many players didn't trust the new rules. But one man had a head start. Bradbury Robinson, a football innovator, medical student, and three-sport athlete. What was his edge? Well, thanks to his connections, Wisconsin's Governor Robert Lafoyt at the time was a family friend. He got an early heads up that the pass was about to be legalized, courtesy of a letter from President Roosevelt himself. The coach of the team of the time and other teammates at St. Louis University spent the summer of 1906 on the shores of Lake Balua, secretly designing and rehearsing forward pass plays. When it came to the game day, September 5th, 1906, the opener was St. Louis University versus Carroll College in Wisconsin. The head coach, Eddie Cochems, was ready. He called the play. Robinson took the snap, dropped back, and then let the ball fly. A move nobody in the crowd had ever seen. Bam! The first forward pass in legal history? It was incomplete. Under 1906 rules, an incomplete pass didn't mean just loss of down. It actually resulted in a turnover. A risky experiment that, in other hands, might have been quickly abandoned. But Robinson, unfazed, lines up again later. He takes a snap and fires a pass 20 yards downfield. Jack Schneider, his teammate, grabs it and sprints to the end zone for the first legal forward pass touchdown. The crowd was stunned. The local newspaper reported that St. Louis had astounded everyone with their strategy. Why were Robinson and Coach Cochems so far ahead? Cochems saw the game in a new light. He and Robinson had divided dozens of passes, plays that they could consider, which, as one official recalled later, left the teams bewildered by their variety. Robinson wasn't just a passer. He became the sport's first triple threat man. He could run, punt, and pass the ball with equal skill, making him virtually impossible to defend. And it wasn't just a gimmick. St. Louis dominated that season. They finished 11-0. They outscored their opponents 407-11, an almost unbelievable margin for that era. Their offense was so advanced, newspapers described the pass as doubtful and dangerous until they saw how unstoppable it could be. Notably, they were all doing this with the old-style flat rugby-like football, far harder to grip and throw than the modern streamlined ball that's today. The forward pass began its life almost as a circus trick, really. Robinson just wasn't a player. His story is larger than life. He was born in 1884. He excelled at football, track, and baseball, and was already thinking about football tactics while still a teenager. After college, he earned a medical degree, practiced surgery at the Mayo Clinic, and later became a local mayor and respected conservationist. During World War I, he was an infantry captain, teaching soldiers to use new tanks, then serving on the front lines after that. He even became one of the first medical professionals to warn about the dangers of DDT decades later. His innovations didn't just change football, his wide-ranging career changed many lives. Despite Robinson and Coach Cochems' massive achievement, their names gradually faded. Later legends like Notre Dame's New York took credit for popularizing the pass, but history is clear. The first legal pass caught for a touchdown belongs to Robinson in St. Louis. Neither has been inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame, and St. Louis University, despite its historical significance, eventually abandoned football entirely in the 1940s. Yet every time a quarterback launches a spiral into the air, Robinson's pioneering spirit lives on. Some argued other teams tried passes in 1906. The confusion? St. Louis played before the rest, making them the first by fluke because of the season schedule. But they all went all in, proving it was more than a trick. It could anchor an offense. The newspaper, New York Times, called the forward pass a doubtful, dangerous play to be used only in the last extremity. Cochems and Robinson proved them wrong spectacularly. Fun fact, Robinson and the 1906 St. Louis squad even claimed they won the gold medal at the 1904 St. Louis Olympics, making them Olympic world champions in football. Even with all this, for decades, Robinson humbly gave credit to his coach and teammates, saying football's transformation was a team effort. So next time you watch a wild, deep bomb touchdown, think of Bradbury Robinson, triple threat, innovator, physician, war veteran, and first man ever to turn football from a ground war into an aerial assault. Remember, if you like this story, smash that like button, subscribe, and feel free to leave a comment on your favorite football innovation. We'll see you tomorrow, September 6th, for another exciting tidbit in history.